Hello, everyone. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I have a great show today. You know, we love the charity space. We love the nonprofit space here at DotCom Magazine. We have so many founders, CEOs, and experts that come on the show, executive directors of nonprofits. And we found something very, very interesting that really caught our eye. And we had to reach out to Mr. Scott Hutchings. He's the president and founder of Global Coin Solutions. And he helps charities with a very unique approach to helping charities. It was just so interesting. I got on the phone with Scott and I was just so sort of like locked in with what he was saying that I invited him on the show because what he's doing is really important work. It's very interesting what he does as well. And I think when you hear this story, it's going to resonate to you as an entrepreneur about how Scott's been able to build this incredible business, helping charities in a very unique way. I'm sort of foreshadowing what he's going to talk about in a minute. But before we do, Scott, welcome to the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Thank you very much, Andy. Appreciate it.
All right, Scott. Well, I sort of foreshadowed it. I kind of gave a little bit of a tease, but let's go ahead and pull the lens back to 30,000 feet and tell us about Global Coin Solutions and what you do.
Well, we've got two main things that we focus on. The very first thing is helping charities raise money. And that feeds into the second part, which is putting people to work. So our mission statement is really simple. We want to help as many charities as we possibly can. And in doing so, we're raising a lot of money. They're raising a lot of money. And the more money that's raised, the more people it takes to do what we do. So what we do is enable charities to collect donations in any currency. We're talking cold, hard cash, one coin, one bill at a time.
I love it. I love it. And when we spoke on the pre-interview, you know, I come back from a trip and I have all of this foreign money and I don't go to the exchange, booth because I just maybe want to keep the money in my pocket or keep it for the next trip. But let's talk about this because you process foreign currency for charities. I find it so interesting what you do. It's really the focus of your work, really, to help charities, raise funds that are so needed. And one of the ways you do it is by processing this foreign currency. Let's talk about how you do that, because I just found that so interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, you touched on it exactly. You go on a trip, you come home. There are a large number of airlines throughout the world that have charity collection programs on their flights. We handle all of the ones that are participating in North America. So you go on the trip, you come home, you're on a flight that may or may not be collecting, you're on an airline that may not be collecting. Either way, the collection doesn't happen or you don't see it, and you leave the plane, you go through the airport. The airports in the United States, very few airports collect foreign currency at all. You go through the airport, you're on your way home, you're taking it home because you thought it was going to be something to have good as a souvenir, or like you said, maybe I'll take it back the next time I go. How many people ever think about taking back their foreign currency? If you've got banknotes, you've got some value, that's one thing. And if it's intentionally done, that's a reasonable expectation. But nobody's ever thinking about taking back coin or taking back the low value notes. And so what we're trying to do is engage with charities that need new and innovative and different ways to fundraise, especially after COVID, with the pandemic, the way that it hit everybody. Charities left, right, and center are hurting. They're hurting big time. The programs that they had either slowed down or their donors just simply don't have disposable income that they can make donations. This is a way that people can donate and not take money out of their pocket. Now, that sounds funny considering that they're donating cash, but it's money that they can't use. And the simplest consideration. So we're a Canadian company. We do work all over North America in the United States. The simplest consideration is, have you ever run across a Canadian coin or a Canadian note? Those have no value at all in the United States whatsoever. So if we can get those back to Canada, we can turn that into money that a charity can use. If you've got Argentine pesos, euros, British pounds, Australian dollars, Japanese yen, again, the banknotes, you may consider taking them back. You may consider taking them to your bank or a currency exchange, but there's no exchange for the coin. And that's what our big focus is the coin. Of course, we will accept everything coming through a charity, but the idea is to try and get people to donate their foreign currency, because quite frankly, there's billions and billions of dollars worth of foreign currency out there doing nothing.
Scott, it's so interesting. You've been in business. You and your team have, so many years of combined experience in this space. You've collected and processed millions and millions of dollars for charities throughout the, 6-7 years you've been in business. I want to look at this from the standpoint of the charity first, and then I want to look at it from the standpoint of the person that can help the charity. So it seems to me that if I'm running a charity or I have a charity, this is sort of a brand new sort of fundraising opportunity for the charity. And it sounds like, they come to you, Scott, and they say, hey, we've heard about this. Everybody's talking about it in the, nonprofit space. What's that conversation sound like with a charity who comes to you that wants a new fundraising opportunity using your company and what you've been able to put together?
Well, it's very interesting because in North America, we don't do this. It is, like I said, there's a few airlines that do it. There's a few airports that do it. There's a few charities that I've connected with that do it. But as a whole, North Americans don't donate foreign currency for charity. Now, if you go to England, as an example, the majority of charities there have got a foreign currency program. And they do because they're right next to Europe. And of course, Europe used to have 30 plus different currencies. Every country had their own currency. So it makes sense there. It makes sense in Europe. But I also look at countries like Australia and New Zealand. There's a lot of charities there that have programs as well. And they're islands upon themselves. It's not like the currency is just traveling willy-nilly. It has to be moved by the people. So in Canada and the US, the idea is just to create some awareness, engage with a bunch of different charities, get everybody talking about it, getting media looking at this. One, it's a good story. We're helping charities, we're putting people to work, we're helping them raise money where they weren't raising money before. And it's also an environmentally friendly concept. So, simple question: how long do you think a coin lasts in a landfill? I don't think anybody has the answer, but it's a really long time. So by repatriating the coin, sending the coin back to the countries that it came from, we're actually helping the environment, because you're not going to throw that coin in the garbage. And people do, believe it or not, they throw money away. Whether you're going through and doing spring cleaning or what have you, you run across this stuff, and what are you going to do with it? But it also helps those countries not have to produce as many more coins, which is then saving the mints from having to go and source other metals and smelt more coin. and that's not environmentally friendly. So this is a program that not only would help the charity themselves, but it has so many other tangible good things around it that it makes a lot of sense. One of the other components that I don't think I've mentioned to you, Andy, is that by charities working together with a small business, a large retail chain, a corporation, it also draws awareness to those organizations. So we've got several programs here in Canada, and we have seen that a retail partner supporting this program, being a collection point, drives traffic through their front doors. And it literally is because the donor wants to support the charity. They're not a customer of the business before this happens. Now they walk through the door, they make that donation. Now that business has a connection with that person. So it's a real program that involves so many different other components. We've got an initiative up here in Canada called Better Together as One, and that sums it up completely. By working together, we are way stronger than trying to do things independently. So it drives a lot of awareness to a charity and drives a lot of funding to them as well.
That's incredible, Scott. And of course, for the entrepreneurs watching the show, you think about passion, and Scott's passion to help charities raise money really has driven him to really push the envelope, with this leftover foreign currency fundraising. Let's talk about it just for a minute, because what you just mentioned is fascinating. So, if you have a collection point at a walk-in retail store, people will walk in with their foreign currency, and then that retail store gets to make a connection on a sort of unconscious level almost with that person walking in the store, and they're able to make a connection with a customer. That's a great idea. Let's unfold that a little bit more, because that's a fascinating and interesting concept that I had not thought about.
Yeah, and to be frank, it's one of those things that we ran across done by error, but I hadn't envisioned that before it happened. We've got one charity partner here, national charity. They're connected with a province-wide retail company, and the retailer was coming back with those stories to us. And we hadn't expected that. And again, that was before the pandemic. But because of the pandemic, retailers, especially ones with bricks and mortar stores, are hurting more than ever before. And if this can help them, and they can help a charity, and in doing all of these different things, they're also helping themselves, because again, they get to touch on that person who walks to the front door, but they also get to tell their own story. And the fact that they're willing to support a local charity or even a national or international charity, that speaks to their clientele as well. I mean, that is tremendously positive for them.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I mean, it's a win-win-win-win-win. I mean, so many wins going on for everybody involved. The people bringing the charity money, the people who own the store, the charities themselves, the employees of the establishment that get to see the company doing great things for the world. It's just fantastic. Now, Scott, when we think about global coin solutions, let's say I'm watching the show and I'm saying to myself, wow, this is great. I've got some coins or some leftover money. How do I get it to you? I mean, what does that process look like to start sort of supporting charities through your initiatives?
So if you're a charity and you want to look at this even deeper, I mean, obviously just contact me. But if you're a donor who's got leftover foreign currency, I would encourage the same thing. Get a hold of me. I can put you in touch with the organizations that we work with in whether it's the United States or Canada. In Canada, for example, somebody could mail, literally, I'm not joking, they could mail their foreign currency into our office here, and we could then process it for their particular charity, or if they didn't have one, it could be for the ones that we're already supporting. But if it's in the U.S., we can connect you with the right folks. We can set you up and possibly even connect with new charities, because somebody wants to make a donation and they want to make it to a specific charity. So it could possibly kickstart something new for that charity that they want to support.
Interesting. Now, if I'm a charity and I want to get involved, does your organization at Global Coin Solutions handle all the processing for the charity and then convert it into, US dollars if I'm a US charity, and that's, wire the money or fund the money in some way? How does the charity end up getting the money?
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head there. So from a collection point of view, what happens, the way we typically work is the charity and their business partners or their partner businesses, they will be the collection points. From that point on, though, we can get involved. And so the charities, the organizations that we work with in the United States right now, they've got collection points. We actually work with an international courier, so we can send the pickup to happen right at their location. So if it's a retail chain, we can organize and arrange for the currency to be picked up from there. We've got a warehouse in Niagara Falls, New York, that we consolidate all of our shipments in the US, and then we bring them across the border here. So we handle the logistics. Charity, business takes care of the collection. We can handle it from there. When it gets to our office here, that's where the real work, if you will, starts to happen, where we sit down and we start to separate the currencies. And I'm going to tell you, and you may not believe this, but the only way to separate mixed currency is by hand. And that's where the secondary component of, well, actually, it's not even secondary. It's as important as the first mandate of GCS is to put people to work. Once we've got currency separated, and then we do have machines that can count it, but the actual separation, the initial separation, takes place by hand. And for some of the work that we do, it is extremely tedious and monotonous. And the average person's brain doesn't work that way. It's repetitive work. And so we actually, again, pre-COVID and hopefully not long after now, we have people on staff with autism. And we hire them specifically because of what they can do. And they can do repetitive tasks. If you or I were to sit here, and the primary reason that we have people with autism is, and don't take this the wrong way, the US $1 bill. It's not a pretty piece of paper. It never gets to us in a fashion that it can be put through a bill counter. We have to unfold it. We have to unwrinkle it. We have to take the origami that it was made into. We have to take that apart. And when you're dealing with thousands upon thousands of $1 bills, after about 20 minutes, I'm going to tell you because I've done it. After about 20 minutes, I lose track of where I am. My brain just doesn't function that way. So we need people who are on the spectrum that can do that repetitive task. So it comes in here, we separate it all, when we're all done, we record everything, document everything, then we start shipping. And like I said, we're returning that foreign coin to the country that it came from. Even American coin, when we've got it here in Canada, we ship it back to the US. Once that's all done, it's received on the other end, we get paid for it. Then we take our fees out of what's been processed. So there's no cost to the charity. There's no upfront cost. There's no back end cost. There's no invoice going to the charity at all. They just get the net proceeds minus our deductions. And yes, we send for international customers, it's a wire from our bank. So
I love it. I mean, Scott, it's so interesting, to bring in, people, special people with autism to do the counting and to do the types of things that need to be done, get them paid, employ them. I mean, it's so important what you're doing. I mean, you're really hitting this on all ends. You're really not only, talking the talk, but you're walking the walk as well. So I have a few more questions from the charity's perspective. I want to get involved. The charity box, I guess I could call it, the place where the money gets put into. I mean, is that something you provide, or is that something that the charity puts out? How does the money get collected at the charity or one of the charities sort of retail locations, if they know somebody on the board that owns a retail location or have some supporters that want to put out a charity type box to collect this foreign money? Who provides those boxes? So
that is one aspect that we don't provide the boxes. We do have connections with a couple of different organizations that manufacture them, so we can certainly make those connections. But one thing I do tell charities, and of course it depends on who the partner is. So you're not going to go into a charity is not going to go to a Target and say, let's do this. And by the way, we're going to use empty coffee cans. That's not going to work for a Target. A Target or a large retailer might be interested in supporting that program by buying their own boxes. They might have custom boxes made. They might just want generic ones, but they might want to do that from a branding perspective. But for a charity, having a conversation with a smaller business base or a small business in general, or if they're looking at a credit union or a small bank with a few locations, as an example, that's a scenario where an old coffee can or an empty water cooler jug or any kinds of recycling would work as well. I don't advocate or encourage charities to go spend money on containers if they don't have to. There's lots of ways to do it without being terribly fancy, without spending money.
I love it. And you've been so successful and you've helped so many charities. And it's just really, remarkable that you've sort of taken it from the beginning to the end point of also employing, people with special needs with autism, helping charities, taking this money and sort of processing it in a way that helps the charities. And you're doing it in such a meaningful way. It's really remarkable over the number of years that you've been sort of, running Global Coin Solutions. So congratulations on that. It's just remarkable. And as I told the viewers of the show, this is a fascinating story. This is someone that from his heart had this passion to help charities, and he figured out a way to really take something that's never been done before, which is this foreign currency, convert it in a way that's powerful for the charities, bring people on who have special needs in the autism spectrum to have them do the work and sort of tighten up this nice, neat bow in so many different ways that it's just remarkable. And as you know, watching the show, this is why I love this story. Now, Scott, I want to talk about entrepreneurship a little bit because, sometimes younger entrepreneurs, they hit a roadblock. Sometimes they hit a pothole in the road. Sometimes they hit a wall that they can't quite get over. Once in a while, they might freeze in the frame and they might not know which way to turn. So I'm hoping through your entrepreneurial journey and your entrepreneurial success, you might be able to reach through the lens and tell the younger entrepreneurs what it takes to keep going during tough times and how to get through those potholes in the road.
Well, I can tell you when COVID hit back in March of last year, I was one of those people that I froze. This was new. There was nobody that had any answers. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew how long it was going to take. And I froze for a little bit. And I'm not embarrassed to admit that. But at the end of the day, having commitment to what you're doing, especially if what you're doing, if you know that it's the right thing to do, it's a good thing to do. For me, I've said it before, I've said it for years. This is the last thing I plan on doing. So for me, there's no stop. I will keep going under any condition. I will find a way, and you just have to have the perseverance to push through. There may be lean times, there may be troubled times, there may be, you don't know what's going to come. But for me, I have the belief that it's going to work out, and it's going to work out partly because I'm not going to let it do anything else.
I love it, Scott. It's such great willpower. We all freeze along the path, and you unfreeze yourself and you keep on going once you get frozen up. And certainly the COVID situation made a lot of people freeze for a moment, and some people are still frozen, but certainly we're going to come out of this. We're going to come out of it stronger. And like you said, this is your mindset is this is the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to do it. I believe in the mission. You believe in helping charities raise money. You believe in employing, autistic people and giving them an opportunity to earn money by helping you, which then helps the charities. It's just a remarkable full circle that you've been able to accomplish. We expect even bigger things from global coin solutions. I mean, GCS, I love it so much. And when I heard the story first, I said to my team, I've got to bring Scott on the show because, he's got this passion, and it's such a remarkable story because I've never heard of anybody doing this before. And he's breaking through in so many ways. There's people that are using you. There's charities that love what you're doing. I mean, you've been able to process literally millions and millions of dollars through this system that you have. And it's going to be into the hundreds of millions, I'm sure, very shortly, Scott. So I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, I love having entrepreneurs on that really think outside the box. And Scott, not only did you think outside the box, but I think you're crushing the box, to be honest with you. So Scott, thanks so much for coming on the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Thanks very much, Andy. I appreciate you reaching out to me. That was a very, very pleasant surprise, and I appreciate being on the show. Thanks very much.